CCA was started by a man called Nick Crowder. He was basically a man with a van with a vision. People who needed furniture through various reasons of hardship. Obviously, he was also aware that people were throwing out furniture that was perfectly functionable, simply because they'd become tired of it. And he collected the furniture, he stored it in a barn initially and distributed it. He used long-term unemployed people, recovering addicts, various people as volunteers to get the whole thing started.
So it was enabling people to care for other people. So you take the focus off them and help them put their focus onto other people. And I remember so clearly, there was one day I took Dominic and Nigel and Ellen out in a van that we had got given because people started hearing about this work and the wonderful impact it was having. And we loaded up a van with furniture because we had heard that this girl was living in a flat on the Basingstoke Road and who didn't have anything. We turned up into this, pretty much as a concrete bunker of an apartment block. And we went up to the 3rd floor and knocked on the door, and it just echoed. And there was not a sound, and someone came to the door. And there was this young girl, she can't be more than 17 and a half, 18. She had a baby in her arms, and she was pregnant. We walked into this flat, and there was nothing in it at all. It was a concrete floor, nothing in the kitchen whatsoever, no furnishings, no curtains, no blankets, nothing, except for one suitcase just tucked up in the corner with her only worldly possessions, which was a few clothes. And that's where the baby slept. And she slept on the floor, and she was, I think, about 5 months pregnant. The relevance of this story is that Dominic and Nigel and Ellen, they saw this. They saw the plight that she was in, and they transformed her life in that day and furnished her whole house, gave her a home to live in, a bed for the baby to sleep in, and a home for her future. And they came away from that totally and utterly ecstatic. And from that evolved an organisation called Christian Community Action, CCA.
In those early days, everybody volunteered, and the furniture was redistributed to those that needed it. It has grown over the past 18 years to where it is now, where we have our own warehouse. We have 5 shops now, support centres at all the sites, and we have 3 vehicles. They come out of need. They've been rehoused by the council, they get an empty property. And if they're on low income, on benefits, then they won't be able to afford to furnish it themselves. So we provide the basics, the essentials, beds, sofas, dining table and chairs, chests of drawers, wardrobes, that kind of thing. We had a man come in, he'd been in prison for a considerable period of time, and he tells us he was walking along the road and something made him come in, and he came in and he didn't know what he wanted to say or what he wanted to ask for. But the staff made him welcome, they made him a cup of tea and sat him down and had a chat, and the story just poured out. By the time he'd left, we had arranged to give him furniture to furnish his flat, and a kitchen pack and a bedding pack, so linen for his bed, and he was just amazed. When he stepped back out onto the Oxford Road, he wanted to come back in again because he thought what just happened there, and he wanted to experience it again. It feels a tremendous privilege to be leading an organisation like CCA. It's been completely different, quite nerve-wracking to start with. At times it can be quite lonely because there's certain things you can't discuss with colleagues. On the other hand, it's made me rely on God a lot, and that has given me a huge amount of confidence, because I truly believe that God brought me into this job, that in the normal course of events, you don't go from being a midwife to being a managing director of a charity or anything. And obviously being a managing director of a charity like CCA is not quite the same as being managing director of John Lewis. But without God, it wouldn't have happened. So knowing that has given me the confidence to rely on him. And the team of people working with me are fantastic. We have 25 paid staff now, but we have about 150 volunteers. They're all just so committed to doing the work that CCA is involved with. We have people who come to us with a need. Some people have mental health issues, some have learning difficulties, some have social integration difficulties. And by volunteering with CCA, they feel they're doing something worthwhile. They begin to improve their own self-esteem because they can see that what they're doing is valuable and is valued and is helping other people. And we start every day with prayer. Staff and volunteers gather in the sitting room We have a Bible reading, or somebody will share a story, and we commit the day to the Lord. Staff often come for a limited period of time. They'll think they'll come and volunteer for a little while, and then they end up staying years. Sometimes they'll come as paid members of staff for a specific reason, to help us set a project up, and they'll come on a 6-month contract and end up staying several years. I think it's just something about CCA and probably other Christian charities as well, that it gets you. You feel good doing what you're doing. It's a tremendous privilege. As a Christian, God calls us to love our neighbour and to help one another. To actually be able to do it as a job is wonderful.